So our next speaker is Ryan Flanary. Ryan Flanary is a longtime beekeeper with 40 years of experience. He is the proprietor of Flanary Ridge Honey LLC in Flat Rock, Michigan. And for the last 14 years, he has specialized in providing beekeeping equipment, packages, and nucleus colonies to beekeepers all over Southeast Michigan. He is also available to supply beekeepers as he expands into Jackson County. Ryan's a friend of mine. I appreciate Ryan. Not only is he knowledgeable, but he's very friendly and he's good to do business with. And, you know, if you get into a pinch and, you know, like I've needed 55 frame nuke boxes within, you know, the next couple of days, he's able to provide that as a resource. So when it comes to expansion or even just starting out with just a few colonies, he's got what you need. Ryan is also providing a hive body kit to the Bee Guild to give away to a lucky winner, which has been selected randomly. I have pre-selected those, and I've neglected a little bit to announce some of the winners, so forgive me. It's been a little crazy today, but everybody who has won something that's going to receive an email. So we've given away a Miller Beekeeping Supply bee suit. We have 2 hive body kits, and we have 3 different gift certificates from Miller Bee Supply that are digital and can be submitted to you via email as well. So we'll follow up with the winners that were selected randomly. Thanks to everybody who's contributed and participated. Ryan, I'm going to see if you are there. I'm going to ask you to unmute, see if we could get you your video too. Hi, Ryan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
I'm very good. How's everybody out there doing?
I think everybody's doing well.
Well, I'm going to have to start off by apologizing for this mobile car video that we're doing today due to the fact that we're returning from mid-Michigan and doing our corporate taxes and personal taxes. So I'm in a car doing this. So I'm sorry, the setting is not the greatest.
Did you end up with a windfall of financial surplus that you could go ahead and spread around to the rest of us today?
Oh, I'm moving to Aruba.
Oh, gotcha. That sounds like a good plan to me. All right, I'm going to bring up the presentation that we have for you here. So just give me a second. Let me pull that up. You're not driving and presenting at the same time, are you? That would be truly talented.
I'm in the passenger seat, so I'm good.
Well, that's good. We're glad to know you're safe. We don't want to encourage any bad behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. There's your PowerPoint. Can you see it okay on your side?
Yep, I can see it.
All right. Going to bring this up to the current slide. The microphone is yours, Ryan.
All right. Well, I am Ryan Flanary, and I'm manager at Flanary Ridge Honey, located near Flat Rock, Michigan. And as I was saying earlier, I have to apologize for this mobile car video. We're returning from Flint back home to Flat Rock, so I'm in the car doing this. So please excuse me. Normally I'd be at home on my laptop with props and some better scenery. Okay, at Flanary Ridge Honey, we specialize in catering to our customers' needs on a personal basis. We're a family-run business, as opposed to some online company that only knows you as a customer invoice order, you know, on an order that you've placed. And as I like to jokingly say to my customers, when you visit us up on the ridge, we'll make it worth your while. You'll be treated in so many different ways that it's guaranteed you're bound to like at least one of them before you leave us. So take that leap of faith. If you haven't been to Flat Rock and you haven't been to Flanary Ridge Honey, come visit us. You can kick the tires, blow the whistles, do everything you want with no pressure to even buy anything. You can just look around if you'd like. You hear me so far? All right, so I'd like to start with an overview of equipment, if that's okay with everybody. Let's talk about hive bodies, which you just saw in the picture, and the importance of good solid, quality equipment and how your choice of that woodenware can affect you as a beekeeper. At Flanary Ridge Honey, we only use the best 7/8 inch thick #1 grade pine for all of our hive bodies and equipment. Not 3/4 inch, not #2 grade, not economy grade, not commercial grade wood, with all the knots and little defects in it. We only do the best. And the reason for this is because if you're like me, and you're stacking supers here, and you're throwing brood boxes there, and you're tossing lids there, or just plain manhandling your equipment because you're in a hurry and lack of time like I usually am, then the thicker, stronger equipment that you are using instead of the cheaper 3/4 inch equipment, it can handle the stress that you do put on it. In short, it takes a beating better than 3/4 does, and it lasts a lot longer. Next, it's important that you use screws when you are assembling your equipment, or if you're buying equipment, make sure the equipment is screwed together, not staples or nails. Why? How many times have you gone out to a hive and seen the joints separated because of the staples, or a nail pop halfway sticking out, and so on? You need to use glue, but you also need to use screws. Let's face it, most manufacturers use staples, which we consider at Flanary Ridge Honey quite inferior when building your hive bodies and other equipment. So then you ask, why do they use staples? Because it's faster and it's cheaper for them. That's why. And believe me, when it comes to kicking out equipment as fast and as cheap as they can, they do not have your best interests in mind. They want to make money. So to recap, 7/8 inch #1 grade pine, you can go with cedar, you can go with cypress, you can go with other things, but it's got to be good wood. And no staples or nails. That's exactly what we do at Flanary Ridge Honey, located in lovely Flat Rock, Michigan. Also, I'd like to add that all the joints need to have tight tolerances with no separations or cracks or air holes or openings that can allow small insects or pests like ants to get in. And your bottom board and your lid, they have to sit flush with the brood boxes and supers. So that means the side walls of your boxes and the front and back wall of your supers and brood boxes have to be level on top and plane down. So many times when I was a beginning beekeeper, I would think, oh, I got this great equipment, it was a good price, and I got it home, and the joints didn't fit together, or the side wall was 1/4 inch higher than the front wall. When you put it on another box, there was a huge gap in there and so on. And what a headache. It's just not worth it at all. So you have to make sure that everything fits snugly and level and tight with all of your equipment. Frames. Frames are important also. I prefer wood frames with acorn foundation that is heavily waxed. Now, frames can be a picky subject. Everybody likes certain things. I stick away from the plastic outside frames because hive beetles and other insects can hide in there from the bees. But with wooden frames, that doesn't happen. I use the heavy wax acorn foundation, and then I even wax it more myself. I use pure beeswax, wax my frames, and the bees draw it out in a heartbeat. But I prefer acorn foundation over all other type of foundation out there. You can use natural wax foundation, you can use Plasticel, you can use, Pure Go, whatever you like, but I prefer acorn. I find my bees prefer it also.
Now, Ryan, because I don't believe you. I don't believe that you wax your own frames, but we've got evidence that you actually do wax your frames, don't you? Let's see here. We're going to put you on the spot. Here we go. This is Ryan Flanary, waxing frames. Now let's see if I can fix the problem we had earlier with the audio. Give me just a moment. Getting better at this throughout the day. As the day ends, I'll probably be able to do it.
Okay.
All right, so Hey. Nope. So there you go.
So anyway, you just need a frying pan and a paintbrush and 100% pure beeswax, preferably out of your own yard. You know, everything in a hive is usable, so why not use it? The pollen is usable, the propolis is usable, the bees are usable, the queens, the wax, and so on. Find out what your niche is and use it. And me, I use every ounce of wax I get from bees. It's like gold. Once you wax that acorn foundation and you heavily wax it, the bees don't know there's plastic underneath there, and they'll draw it out so quick. I've actually done experiments where I put a heavy wax frame in and then factory wax frame in, and then a heavily waxed frame and a factory waxed frame, and go in a week later, and the heavily waxed frames are already drawn out to a huge level, and the factory wax frames, they barely touched. But the key is put it on heavy. The more, the better. Did you get that, Jimbo? Is that proof for you?
Yeah, I think that I'm convinced that you wax your own frames. I really didn't believe it until I saw it, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, no. I won't do anything else because the stuff coming from the factories is crap. I'm sorry for my French, but they barely run those things through the wax machines. And the heavily waxed ones that you get now these days are better than the single waxed. But I wax it even more because what's a bee's favorite thing to do? Of everything they do, what is their favorite thing to do? Play with wax. They love to repurpose it. They love to put it here. They love to draw it out there. How many times have you gone into your hive and found wax everywhere? On the lid, in between the frames, where that's their favorite thing to do. So give them some wax to play with and they're happy bees. If we have time, I would also like to go into a couple of topics that are really important for beginners, I feel. And that is, what type of equipment is best for you? Now, I wish I could go back in time when I was a young beginning beekeeper and had a mentor who would have gave me this information. It would have saved me a lot of the school of hard knocks and a lot of money and a lot of frustration. But there are three basic types of equipment: 10 frame, 8 frame, and 5 frame. Can you get other stuff made? You know, can you get 7 frame made? Can you get 3 frame nukes made? Can you get 6 frame? Sure, you can get that. But the industry standard is 5, 8, and 10. And, you know, when I was a strapping young lad, and I was back in the Stone Age day, that would have been, I ran all 10 frame equipment. A, because I could, I was young enough and healthy enough to do it. And B, because it's all that was available back then. Now, as beekeepers, we have options. These days, I cannot handle 70 and 80-pound brood boxes or 60-pound supers, you know, like I used to when I was young and healthy. So my personal choice of equipment right now these days is 8 frame equipment, which has extended my beekeeping career and made beekeeping fun for me again instead of a drudgery. You know, as I approach my senior citizen days, and in just a few short years, I'm going to be closing in on 70. I find it completely tolerable to work with 8 frame equipment, even at that age. 10 frame, when I walk up to a 10 frame hive now, and I approach it full of bees and full of pollen, full of honey, I just want to spit. I just want to yell, I quit. So 8 frame and 5 frame equipment has really made it fun for me and rejuvenated myself as a beekeeper. And that's one thing that's important. I have lady friends who are beekeepers that they can't even handle the 8 frame equipment. And by using 5 frame equipment, you know, they've been able to rediscover beekeeping and have fun doing it and be enjoyable instead of asking someone else for help to lift this super or lift this box or do that. They're able to do sustainable beekeeping with 5 frame equipment. So you don't have to go with 10 frame or 8 frame. those are just options.
So Ryan, you're saying that because I run mostly 5-frame equipment that I'm not capable of lifting heavy boxes. Is that what you just said?
No, you're thinking ahead of the curve, I think is what it is. You're looking down the road. And that's something else to look at is overwintering. You know, what overwinters better for you, 5-frame, 8-frame, or 10-frame? I find with our cold winters here in Michigan, 10-frame equipment may not be the best choice. Those outside frames get as cold as the outside is, no matter how you wrap, no matter what you do. Only the heat where the cluster is where it is warm. Bees break the cluster and they try to go to those outside frames, they freeze. So if you get a smaller box like 5-frame and even 8-frame, the cluster is able to heat a bigger area of the hive due to the fact that the hive is smaller in frames and smaller, in size. So overwintering Michigan, that may be another choice as to why you go with 5 or 8-frame versus 10, The next thing, if we have time, I'd like to go over ventilation. There's a lot of people out there that know me as the ventilation guy. I think, James Lee, you and I have even talked about this quite a bit. But when you come up to Flanary Ridge, I am big on upper ventilation for bees. A lot of people will use screen bottom boards for lower ventilation or for pest control, but upper ventilation is oh so important, especially when it comes to nectar collectors and honey production. My honey hives get quite large, and I'm pretty sure from the experiments I've done and the years I've done it, it's from the upper ventilation. That upper ventilation allows heat to escape. It allows that airflow from the bottom through the top to help dehydrate the nectar. And the bees don't have to work as hard flapping their wings over that nectar for, 20,000 bees doing that just to dehydrate the nectar and turn it into honey. So when you come up to the ridge, you'll see I have screened inner covers available. Not solid, they're screened to allow heat out. And one of the big sellers is ventilated telescopic lids that doesn't allow insects in, but allows heat out. We also have solar ventilators, which is a lot like having an attic fan on your house, and you can draw the heat out with the fans and set it on a timer, run it off a solar battery and those type of things. But upper ventilation in the hot days of summer is very important so that the bees don't have to work so hard dehydrating the honey, and they can go out and collect more nectar for you, which means you end up with a super more full of honey at the end of the nectar season. And I think you've played around a little bit with that, haven't you, Jim, with the ventilated lids?
I've messed around with upper ventilation through the top box, something similar to what you would do during nectar collection. And you would allow for ventilation and coming and going for quicker buildup and evaporation of the honey. Otherwise, as far as the screen telescoping boards, no, I haven't played with those yet.
Okay. Yeah, those are nice too. And actually, when you get a screened inner cover and work it with a ventilated lid, put the two together and work with them in conjunction with each other, boy, the bees are happy. They're coming and going. There's a small opening at the top where the nectar collectors can come into the super area and drop off the nectar. Instead of having to go all the way to the bottom entrance and up through the whole hive, past the brood area, past the nurse bees, past the crowd, drop off their nectar and then go back through that mess to get out the bottom of the hive. So it's very beneficial, and the bees work more efficiently when you allow them to do those things. You're not over managing them, but you're giving them some options which they actually prefer. Now at Flanary Ridge Honey, I do offer bees for sale, packaged bees, spring nukes, and overwintered nukes. Overwintered nukes are a limited number, believe me, because it depends on winter survival and overwinter success rates. Spring nukes are made from splits that are overwinter. And of course, all packages in Michigan are brought in from out of state. There are no local packages in Michigan. because the packages are made, you know, early April and shipped out. In Michigan, for us to be able to do that, we would have to have queens laying in January, drones flying, you know, for queens to be mated and so on. And of course, with our weather, that does not happen. You'd have to have pollen coming into the hive and drones and queens laying. And our bees are still in cluster and still trying to make it through winter at that time. So it's real important for beginning beekeepers to know that all packages are brought in from other states. And you can use them to replace your winter losses, or you can purchase a nuke later on in May when nukes are available.
Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about your plans for the future as far as having queens available for individuals in the northern and southern portions of Metro Detroit?
Sure. Early in the year, just like bees, queens are brought in from out of state. So if you're looking for a queen in April, you're not going to find a locally raised VSH queen. They have to be brought in. But by later in the year, when the nectar flow started, and your queens in your hives are laying and drones are out, they're reproducing and mating, you can get locally mated queens. And a friend of mine, Alexei Taranchuk, who's a queen breeder, he does a lot of VSH queens, which your previous speaker just spoke so greatly about. It was very interesting. But he does that, and he's up in the Farmington Hills area. And of course, I'm south in the Flat Rock area. So what we're going to do is have, you know, VSH queens available for people north of Detroit, people south of Detroit, or people west of Detroit. I just bought a place out in East Jackson, and I'm going to have probably 1 or 2 days a week where people can arrange pickups in that area for, you know, brood boxes, honey supers, bottom boards, lids, whatever it may be, protective gear, PPE, whatever. My home base is still going to be Flat Rock because everybody knows that location and it's busier than heck there during bee season. But I'm going to take a couple days a week where I go out to Jackson and have my equipment available there for, you know, people out in the Lansing area or people out in the Wixom area or Ann Arbor area that need equipment. They won't have to drive to Flat Rock.
So as far as custom orders are concerned, if somebody needed something particular that you don't necessarily have, what is your capacity for acquiring those things? Are you capable of getting orders that are not necessarily on your price list?
Absolutely. James Lee has actually done this with me a couple of times in special orders and stuff. And that's the fun thing is you want to, you know, make something or design something that's practical. It can be ordered for you, and you can receive it and tell you when we get it in. Like I said, we like to specialize to our customers' needs. So, you know, this isn't Tractor Supply where you get what's on the shelves. If you need something, you just ask and we'll tell you what we can or can't do for you. That's the luxury of having a, you know, personal a business acquaintance that you can deal with, and you can, you know, ask certain things that you need and get them.
So Ryan, I put a picture of a basic hive body setup for beginners, and we've got a couple things here. You know, you have your bottom board, you have a couple of hive bodies and frames included, hive tool, brush, frame hanger, frame holder, some pellets, and fuel for the smoker. But most importantly, I wanted to also let everybody know that one of the hive body kits that have been made available for a giveaway today are also sponsored by Flanary Ridge, because he's just that kind of guy. And, you know, he was willing to help us out in promoting and also in helping put the conference together. So he's been a big contributor, and we're very grateful for his assistance. So this is a picture of the kit. You'll get the hive body and all the lid and all the other goods, save the accessories on the top. Those are not included, but readily available at Flanary Ridge. I'm going to put a picture of the price list up top here, but you'll be able to send an email if you're local to Ryan, or you're in the vicinity, or even just shoot me an email. I could send you copies of the price list so you can have access to him and make your orders. And be mindful, be ahead of the curve, because as he said, he really does get busy, and we're talking lines out the road. So think ahead and think quickly, because the season's upon us, that's for sure.
If I could put a plug in here, there's a bee club down at Tecumseh called the River Raisin Bee Club, and they're going to launch the first annual Bee Days Festival in Tecumseh in end of May 28th, and they're going to have pollinator-friendly people there, honey tasting, honey for sale. I'll have a booth set up with woodenware and things like that, but they want to make this an annual thing, and they want it to go well. And tomorrow we have a planning meeting for that, but they're a good club, they're friendly people, and they want to do a Bee Days Festival for everybody, not just bee people, but people that just want to go out there and help pollinators and things like that. So if you're around at the end of May, around May 28th in the Tecumseh area, that would be a great activity.
That sounds good. That sounds great. When you got more information, let us know. We'll make sure it's on the club page and Facebook presence.
Yeah, I'll know more after tomorrow's meeting.
Perfect. We'll put it up as soon as possible.
All righty.
Ryan, you've been spectacular. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you, doing the presentation in transit, and especially thanks to your wonderful chauffeur, whoever that is. That been
that's Mama. Mama's doing the driving right now.
Designated driver. Good. So,
well, I want to say thank you, James, for everything that you do. This is a great thing that you've started. It's going to be the big picture down the road. It's going to be a great thing for beekeeping, and I know you're working hard at it. So I'd like to thank you and the Guild for all their work.
Thanks, Ryan. We'll talk with you soon.
No problem. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye. So let me finish up and conclude with everybody by giving you an overview of the Sustainable Beekeepers Guild of Michigan. Facebook group is open to everybody. It is an open forum. You don't have to be a member of the club to participate in that forum. We also have the Facebook group for the Michigan treatment-free beekeepers. It was a little bit of a different posting and conversation policy between the two groups, but the reason for that is clear and laid out in those policies on those particular venues. We want to remind you about some of the efforts that we're hoping to aim for with our queen breeding and nuke exchange program for beekeepers. We want to be able to establish a network and a co-op of beekeepers that are practicing a lot of the things that you're hearing and experiencing today, so that others can benefit from the genetics in the region and also improving the genetics in your region. I like to say I'm not an altruistic beekeeper. I want you to have better bees so that your better bees are helping my bees be better also. I probably will never say that the same way twice. We are also working on a mentor group network development. We want other beekeepers to have access to mentors who are providing treatment-free and chemical-free practices. And it's not just the chemical-free, treatment-free aspect of beekeeping, but you're learning basic hive management. You're learning what you need to do when it comes to splitting. You're learning about bee biology, and you're getting hands-on frame time. And then Terry had mentioned that we're discussing how to create a hive or badge program for beginners. We want you guys to be able to earn a hive. The Bee Guild has a plan for you to complete these processes, and at the end of this period of apprenticeship, you not only get the badge of honor of having had completed that, but we'll provide you with your first nuke. We'll give you your first set of bees, and we'll give you some good bees. All right. We also want to encourage you to reach out to us. Send me an email, send me a text, whatever you need to do. Stop by the webpage for the Guild, shoot us future speaker and topic recommendations. And the last thing I wanted to cover is that we're working on a forum for individuals to come together and share, other than the Facebook venue, not that that's not sufficient, but a sustainable beekeeping guild where people can come together and they can express their views and opinions, and they can share like-mindedness in these efforts without having to face the barrels of some of the more mainline forums where you can easily get distracted or even harshly treated for just having the idea or notion that it's possible the bee could take care of itself and its genetics. We want to be able to give people that place and venue to learn from each other on a consistent basis. We don't have to just wait for conferences and meetings to get that information. You can go right online, go into that forum and share that info with each other and have access to each other. With that, I thank you all so much for those who have stopped by. I thank you all so much for hanging in there with me, and to the last 20 or so participants that are just there by a thread. Have a good night. Enjoy your spring, and we'll be talking to you soon. Good night.